Hey minions, welcome to Crank It Up. I'm Jim Price, and on this episode of Faction Factory, I want to talk about the Shounen Bros by Moira Airington. The Shounen Bros utilize the dueling mechanic that was introduced in Oops You Did It Again and not seen since, like many smash-up mechanics. This is a common complaint, that the game introduces something that lives and dies with an expansion. We've had some missions that reflected madness, like Francisco Izzo's Stepford family, burying like Cory Marino's Bigfoot faction, and samurai-style dueling like the Norse mythology from Simon Pierre Dupery, all of which were really interesting. I knew I wanted to feature at least one faction that utilized one of these forgotten mechanics, and it's ironic that I chose a dueling faction because I have a tumultuous relationship with dueling. Most days I tolerate it, some days I like it, and more days I hate it. Right now, I'm at a low point with dueling, even though it does appear in two of my faction designs, just at a samurai level quantity. Here's the short version. It has an odd flow in timing, can slow the game down tremendously, not always, but often, and gives you a chance to play an extra action and destroy a minion and get an opponent to waste a card all at the same time. But I must admit that the Shounen Bros captured a lot of my attention over and over again, and it made me want to like dueling. One of the problems with revisiting the mechanic is that we don't have a large baseline for what is appropriate. We have the Cowboys at 7 dueling cards and the Samurai at 2. I'm going to state up front that I think this faction has too much dueling at 8 cards, and that even the Cowboys have too much, but this is a contest of creativity and inspiration. And when I saw the Shounen Bros, it gave me a surge of ideas as to what the next evolution of dueling would be, and that's why I wanted to feature them. Dueling factions need to be broken down into pieces, because dueling needs to accomplish a lot in a 20-card deck. You need to start a duel, as the Cowboys do 7 times. But you need to win the duel, so you need cards that help you win. Some utility cards are necessary to prevent over-dueling or making duels an automatic win. The Cowboys already have 4 deputies, 2 Pinkertons, 2 quick draws, and form a posse. That's 9 cards, which combined with the 7 originals make up 80% of the deck. It's really hard to find the appropriate balance. What the Shounen Bros do is also break it into multiple parts, but their categories are different. Another problem with dueling is that it tends to be my highest minion duels your lowest minion so that I can ensure I win. Instead, the Shounen Bros have specific dueling targets who create new benefits and rewards for having particular minions duel. I thought this is really clever when you use actions to initiate duels, as this faction does. Depending on what you need, you will send a different person into the fight, and it's possible that there are multiple, stacked rewards for being in a duel. The Spirit Bro, in addition to his one-shot ability, allows the winner to place an action from the discard pile into the hand. Instead of destroying a minion, which the action may do anyway, you provide an extremely strong incentive to choose Spirit Bro, because there are some very powerful actions in the game. Depending on the action, that could be much more valuable than destroying anyone, and the destruction has already been done in dueling. The Blonde Bro grants the winner a card, which is nice, but nothing crazy. However, he also gets a counter, so the net reward is greater to you, providing a reason to choose Blonde Bro, but it isn't a tremendous setback if Blonde Bro loses. Delinquent Bro's original ability was too strong, but when Moira explained the thematic context, and by the way, I get almost none of these references, but my coworkers love them, it seemed like a great idea for a new dueling ability. Normally, if you reveal a minion, it's a bluff, but Delinquent Bro and his psychic connection allows you to play that minion if it's power 2 or less, adding its power to Delinquent Bro instead of playing a dueling action. This is convenient because Mabro is a 1 who becomes a 4, allowing for a great surprise attack and surge of power during the duel. The minion also gets to keep its power, as the 2 minions are now psychically linked until the end of the turn. The winner may destroy a minion of power 3 or less who is not involved in the duel, which can backfire on you as well if you lose. Young Bro automatically gets 2 power during a duel, which is important because the winner of his duel gets to shuffle 2 cards from the discard pile into the deck. While duels are often a way to break a base and kick someone off at the same time, Young Bro incentivizes that greatly. Like an Itty Critter, Young Bro can stay around until the end of the turn that he dueled. If he dueled, he must be returned to his hand. This can work against you if another player dueled you on their turn as it would erase your minion all the same. Now that we have minions that want to be in duels, we need a means to initiate them. Evil Bro can choose any of your minions to duel another player's minion at the same base. The losing minion is destroyed, making Evil Bro the talent form of gunfighter. Admittedly, I am not a fan of talent-based duels, and definitely not a fan of bases giving duels, but I must admit that I got some crazy ideas from thinking about this card. It does seem thematic, and would probably be okay if the total number of duels were toned down. Cyclist Bro also has talent-based duels, making Cyclist Bro a mobile dueling delivery service. Cyclist Bro can move to any base, and optionally bring another minion with them, like Scoundrel. But, if you do bring a passenger, one of the two minions must duel a minion at the new base. The losing minion is shuffled into the deck, and there are possibly other benefits depending on the passenger. The only card that appears twice in this faction is the Shinobi Bro, who can increase the power of another minion and initiate a duel with the minion there, destroying the losing minion. To protect yourself against losing, Not a Bro functions like a science officer. If another of your minions would be destroyed, you can place it into your hand instead of the discard pile. Given all the dueling that will be occurring, this is a nice safety net. In fact, many of the action-based duels result in destruction, which is thematically fitting. Additionally, they provide a boost before the duel starts, which is interesting because this faction does not have very many actions that actually help you win duels. My ultimate final form gives 3 power, but that is probably the best card that you can play. These cards won't do recognizes that you don't have many good options, as it can give increased odds of finding the best action you need to win the duel. So, without a good partner faction, the Shounen Bros likely have to declare their power up front, which conveys information to the challenge player as to whether or not they can win and whether or not they should even try and risk wasting a card. My final form places 2 power counters on a minion, then triggers a destruction-based duel. My true final form gives temporary power and moves a minion to an unexpected base, triggering the same duel as my final form. If you have a power-based partner, you can add more power, but you cannot do this with the Shounen Bros due to their lack of power-based actions. For this reason, dueling with Spirit Bro makes sense, as you can grab the action you played to win the duel. Break All the Records can recycle those actions as well, but allows opponents to regenerate in a slightly better way, placing an action on top of their deck. But if they do, you draw a card, allowing for a Disco Dancer-like quid pro quo interaction that we rarely see in the game and we need to see more of. Martial arts competition can help a minion who just won a duel be ready to duel again by granting +1 power counters, like a Pinkerton that needs to be earned. Surge of Motivation can help you win a duel, just not the current one. Surge of Motivation actually makes you lose a duel potentially, but that death creates a surge of power on another minion that triggers a new duel that should be hard to lose. Dueling has some odd timing, and there is a rule about no duels triggered mid-duel, but I believe that the current wording that Moira and I came up with avoids that, since the reaction to the destruction would not occur until the duel was fully resolved in step 1. Yes, I'm Alive can also trigger a duel, but one that is fairly harmless. It revives a minion from the discard pile and triggers a duel where the winner gets a card, fairly harmless if you lose, but it functions like a ghostly arrival from the discard pile, which is strong, because dueling always lets you play an extra action. The final duel initiation card is exactly like Heart of Battle, a Phase 3 special where 2 minions duel when it matters most. However, the stakes are higher. In addition to the losing minion being destroyed, the winner gets to recur a minion of power 3 or less, and given the strong 3s of the Shounen Bros, you have a good amount of targets to consider for future duels. This faction will have a lot of duels, but you cannot expect to win them all. I don't know a lot about anime, but I do watch a lot of comic book TV shows where the villain runs away at the last minute, like basically every fight with Cicada in Season 5 of The Flash. So it made sense to introduce a card that can prevent you from losing a duel, nullifying its rewards, which essentially allows you to bait someone into playing a good card only for it to not even matter. I'm not trying to pile onto dueling, because that takes away from the focus on the Shounen Bros, but another problem with the mechanic is that you basically need a partner who can help you win, or adds more dueling. Most of their partners are going to add power-based actions. But if you combine 2 dueling factions together, the quantity of dueling will be unbearable. However, my biggest takeaway from the Shounen Bros was that dueling actually suffers because of its rarity, and normalizing it would make it better. Instead of making it so that two dueling factions are played together, which seems unbearable, it seems much more interesting that two dueling factions should be played against each other, so that if dueling is in the game, everyone has access to it and everyone is prepared for it. Because honestly, except in a few cases where a faction was perfectly configured to counter dueling, I've seen dueling factions have a tremendous advantage. So spreading that advantage among all parties would nullify the advantage, and it seems thematic that you would want to duel someone capable of dueling you back, as opposed to punching a teddy bear. I think the Shounen Bros provide the prototype for what I'm calling the dueling faction template. And when I think about this, I'm kind of excited by the idea of more dueling factions. I don't know what the proper number of duel initiating cards per faction should be, but I think it's somewhere around 5. Lower than the cowboys, but higher than the samurai. Imagine a faction template like this, where 5 cards initiated duels and provide a variety of rewards, plus there was an interesting mix of minions with different benefits of winning or different advantages that they brought into the duel, and if you had cards that actually help you win duels. This would solve the my highest faces your lowest problem, and I think that would be really cool. Imagine the Shounen Bros facing off against a virtual copy of themselves, where you target both your minion for your reward and an opposing minion for theirs. I think that provides much more nuance than the current dueling format, and this is the reason why we do Custom Faction Month, to brainstorm ideas and build on top of each other. The short version is, when I saw this faction, it made me realize just how much potential dueling has, and it's a shame that its current form is nowhere near the potential that it apparently has. Potential I didn't even know was there. I'm running out of time, so I don't have time to discuss a lot of faction partners like normally, but most of the dueling partners are going to be the same anyway. You want actions with power. But the one faction I do like with dueling, ironically, is one that I've been hard on in the past, the Changer Bots, because leader choose talent makes more sense in a pre-dueling context. The touch makes a lot of sense in a pre-dueling contest, especially if the actions are the ones that are triggering the duel. Solar Shout can play extra actions to use the dueling to slow someone down significantly, especially if he is not the one dueling anyway. For all the reasons that I liked Cowboy Changer Bots, I think Changer Bot Shounen Bros would be interesting as well. At the end of the day, I think there's a reason why we haven't seen dueling again, because we don't really know where it's supposed to go. But I think the Shounen Bros solved that, and the idea of having minions that bring specific abilities into duels would be very interesting for the game. What do you think of the Shounen Bros? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, be sure to like and subscribe, let's shut it down.